Good evening, everyone. I'm Bob Evans. Orem is dealing with tragedy again tonight. A student at Canyon View Junior High was with several hundred classmates on a field trip today in Provo Canyon when his life came to an end with a gunshot wound. Fox 13 News reporter Scott McCain has been covering this story all day and joins us tonight from the school. Scott.
Yeah, good evening, Bob. It was a very somber, very emotional gathering here outside Canyon View Junior High, and many of the students in attendance, many of them ninth graders, leaving within just the past few minutes. But this started to kind of coalesce and come together earlier in the evening, and at one point, at least 100 or more students showing up with candles and flowers. They were sharing hugs and shedding tears, all to remember and pay tribute to a fellow ninth grader who, as you mentioned, died today from a gunshot wound. And the more we hear about this situation, again, the more heartbreaking it becomes. A tragedy, first and foremost, for this young student, their family, their friends, but also for the hundreds of other students, teachers, and staff who were at South Fork Park today when the shooting occurred. School got out early today at Canyon View Junior High, and it's estimated that about 350 students took several buses up the canyon to the park, presumably to take in the fall colors. It was absolutely spectacular up there, but all of that pristine beauty was shattered sometime after 1 p.m. That's when a shot rang out. Teachers and staff immediately calling 911, then moving the other students away and getting everyone to try and calm down. However, by the time the first responders made their way up the canyon, it was too little too late. And a short time later, the ninth grader was pronounced deceased. Now the police investigation is underway to figure out where the student got the firearm and what precisely led up to the gunshot. Detectives apparently did some preliminary interviews with some of the student witnesses and say if they need to do more, they're going to give those students a few days in order to rest and to process everything that happened today. Meanwhile, regular classes, they are scheduled for Thursday and Friday. But parent-teacher conferences that were set for Thursday are now canceled. Again, officials with the Alpine School District say counselors are going to be made available beginning tomorrow, and they will be available for as long as they're needed for students, for staff members, anyone who needs to try to get this out of their system. A very, very traumatic day today. And Bob, the officials with the Alpine District say, look, for those who are able to return to class tomorrow and or Friday, they want them to return to a place where they know that they are cared for and they are loved, and they're going to have those counselors available. For now, we're live in Orem. Scott McCain, Fox 13 News, Utah.
All right. Peace and blessings. Peace and blessings. All praises to the Most High. Romans 1:28 says, and even as they did not like to retain God in their knowledge, God gave them over to a reprobate mind to do things that are improper, repulsive, and destructive. And that is what I think about the scripture when I hear of this ninth grader. And as the caption says, I'm just going to assume that he was a young white boy in Orem, Utah. Utah has a very small population of Black people. And of course, we all know what just happened in Utah a few weeks ago. And this young man or young kid, young boy, ninth grader in middle school, went on a field trip to South Fork Park with some classmates, a lot of people. Waited till they got up on the mountain or, the highlight of the scenery, just like the reporter said, where they were taking in all of the beauty. And this kid evidently planned this very carefully, took out a firearm and deleted himself, unalived himself, knocked his own self off in front of everybody. In front of everybody in the school. And you hear them talking about, how it's going to affect the children and, how they're going to need counseling. and all of those things for them to witness this. But then I think about all of the numerous children who live in neighborhoods where death and violence occur often. Or even the young black children who, watch some of the videos that I put up and see some of the viral videos of police killing unarmed black men and, treating black men less than other than human. And then I think, well, what about the trauma that it is causing them? And, no trauma is good, no death is good, but all trauma should be addressed similarly. Now, once again, they are trying to figure out where this ninth grader, 12, 13, 14 years old or maybe 15-year-old, got the gun. I would venture to say that he got the gun from the same place Tyler Robinson got the gun, or probably got the guns from his parents. We all know the gun culture that, American white people teach their kids, which, in my opinion, just comes from their innate nature for destruction and death and killing, under the guise of hunting and gun clubs and gun collections and things like that. In my opinion, that need to have something that's going to take life and take life in a very quick and destructive manner is a testament to, once again, the innate evil nature of certain people. And but what I see, once again, you see there's people who are mimicking the Tyler Robinsons of the world and mimicking other school shooters. We've seen that a lot of school shooters always have manifestos and say, okay, well, their idols were people like Tim McVeigh and other mass destructive people, mainly white people. And so here is another instance of that. Maybe the young man saw that, okay, well, I want to go out like that. Now, fortunately, in this case, he didn't take anybody else with him. He did that to himself. But the reprobate mind, that it talks about in the scripture, it is a state of moral depravity where a person's mind is hardened against God and the truth, leading them to engage in sinful and destructive behavior. Reprobate mind. That is what, certain groups in America have turned to. Because if you are one who encourages violence, encourages not loving, your fellow human being, encourages destruction and depravity and killing at all costs, sooner or later, your mind is going to become reprobate. And that is what we see as well when we see, a lot of these white people killing each other, because sometimes when there's no black people to kill in these places like Utah and New Hampshire and all of these other places, then you just got to kill who's around you. You got to feed that desire for death and destruction. And so I think that this is a deeper example of, as Malcolm said, chickens coming home to roost. The culture, the climate, the atmosphere of violence that has been portrayed and perpetrated against certain groups of people in this country is going to reverberate, or reciprocate in certain demographics. And so, while they are saying, okay, we have to, they're going to need help and counseling, all well and good. But as we've seen throughout the beginning of the school year, I don't know how many school shootings it has been just within the past month since school started. This is going to continue because of, once again, violence begats violence. The violence of the wicked will return upon their own head. Now, let me just play this one last article, which again is going to focus on the therapy and the counseling and everything that is needed in this situation, which they must think is going to help the overall mindset of some of these children, of some or America in general. Just watching this video is fair use for literary and commentary purposes only.
It's the parents' worst nightmare.
A group of ninth grade girls at Canyon View Junior High putting up a memorial outside their school in memory of what happened here at South Fork Park in Provo Canyon to a fellow student. Police say the ninth grader took a firearm and shot in front of other students. These girls who didn't want to talk on camera say they heard the shot, which shocked and scared everyone. That student was flown to a local hospital and died from their injuries. KSL does not usually cover, but because of the circumstances of a kid bringing a gun to school and firing it in front of other students, it brings it to another level.
The first thing that I think parents need to be thinking about is just learning a little bit more about what their own child's experience was.
Dr. Brooks Keeshan is a child mental health expert at the Huntsman Institute. He says kids are going to experience a variety of emotions.
You could be numb from this. You could be really on edge from this. You could just be really sad.
That's why he says parents need to pay attention and ask questions.
Tell me about it. I'm here to listen, but not kind of going and asking a whole bunch of very kind of direct questions.
All right, and so there you see, once again, a very short clip of a child mental health psychologist talking about parents and, their willingness or need to talk to their children about how this affect them. But, why not talk to your children beforehand? Why not, find out what your child is going through? Because once again, we see a lot of these shootings happen and, their parents are left clueless. But, I think this once again is a sign of the culture, a sign of the times we're in where, people do not respect lives. People have given themselves over to a reprobate mind in regards to the knowledge of the God and truth of God and his people. And so this situation, however tragic, it's, just a reflection of the society that we live in today. But y'all let me know what y'all think about this video in the comments. Y'all see the number 919-587-7782. If y'all like this content, please make sure that you hit that subscribe button to make sure that these videos get more exposure and appear in the internet space more frequently and with much more regularity. But again, I thank y'all for watching, liking, sharing, subscribing, and also commenting to this videos. And as always, peace and blessings. And as the scripture says, all things that are hidden shall be revealed, and those things done in secret shall be exposed on the mountaintop.
Let's go, Rich. Let's go. You watching Telehouse Publishing, breaking news coverage. Give you the truth before fake news throw mud in it. Before the jury decide and the judge discover it. You should tune in to Telehouse Publishing. Telehouse Publishing, breaking news coverage. The propaganda grammar, don't believe none of it. Before the jury decide and the judge discover it. You should tune in to Telehouse Publishing. Telehouse Publishing, breaking news coverage. Give you the truth before fake news throw mud in it. Before the jury decide and the judge discover it. You should tune in to Telehouse Publishing.
Negroes have listened to the trickery and the lies and the false promises of the white man now for too long.